I don't know if you guys were able to tell by that clip, but it is literally snowing outside and it's like the middle of April, which is pretty crazy. But we've been having some crazy weather lately and I've been dying to go out and fly the drone. So hopefully today, by the time sunset comes around, the weather's saying that it's supposed to clear up. So hopefully we can go out and get some nice sunset shots of like the city skyline or something like that. But anyways, I want to talk to you guys about a frequently asked question regarding a mistake that a lot of beginner filmmakers tend to make, which is, should you be shooting at 24 frames per second or at 60 frames per second? So when I first started doing film, I was shooting every single clip at 60 frames per second. I was like, yes, forget about the 24 frames per second, because when I would slow that down, it would get choppy. I want that nice slow motion, buttery footage every single time. But what I wasn't taking into account was what that was doing to my films, to the ones that I didn't slow down. But we'll get more into that in a bit. All right, so we are at this IKEA rooftop that I basically saw off the highway, and I was like, damn, that is a cool spot to like get some wicked shots. And even like when I get my one wheel, I'm gonna come here because there is all this parking space that's just empty and it looks crazy. And you get like a nice view of the city, so that's coming soon. But right now I want to fly the drone and see, you know, what kind of view we can get from here, and give you guys some cinematic shots. I don't know if you guys can see that, but the sky's starting to clear up, and over here it's still cloudy, but they're moving away. So as I was saying, guys, when I first started filmmaking, I was shooting everything at 60 frames per second, no matter what it was. I wanted to have that option to be able to slow down my footage whenever I needed to, but I wasn't taking into account what that was doing to my footage as far as motion. So what happens is when you drop that 60 frames per second footage onto your 24 frames per second timeline, if you don't slow that footage down and you just keep it normal, it is never the natural 24 frames per second, because your shutter speed was at 120 when you shot it and not at 50th of a second, like it's supposed to be when it is 24 frames per second. So if I wasn't slowing that clip down, then that clip would look unnatural, because that's not the way that our human eyes would see the motion in that 60 frames per second. It would actually see it in the 24 frames per second, but my 24 frames per second wasn't actually the natural 24 frames per second. This was literally going right over my head, guys. When I first started, I had no clue. I was just shooting everything at 60 frames per second, and I thought it looked amazing. So if you're filming an interview or capturing a speech at a wedding, then you want to be shooting at 24 frames per second. That way you're able to sync up the audio with the footage perfectly. What I do is I'm always shooting at 24 frames per second, unless I know for sure that I want the clip slowed down in post-production, then I'm shooting at 60 frames per second. But besides that, I'm always shooting at 24, just because it looks the most cinematic and the most natural, and that'll give you the best results. Literally, as I was talking, the sun came out right behind me, so it's gonna be a perfect sunset, hopefully. So we're gonna get the drone up in the air and get some cool shots. Alright, so that's about it for me, guys. I hope you liked this video. If you did, make sure you give it a big thumbs up. Make sure you hit that notification bell, and don't forget to subscribe, and I'll be back next week with another video. Peace.